Okay.
Hey, Adam, how are you?
Hello and good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So my name is Adam Formanek from the Berliner Hochschule für Technik and the incubator of BHT Startup Hub. And we will be starting our startup webinar, Startups Going Through the Valley of Death, about growth hacking in 3 minutes. From the Berliner Hochschule für Technik and the incubator of BHT Startup Hub. And
So it's working in live on LinkedIn. Is it live and working on LinkedIn, Adam? Yeah? Can't hear you.
Everything is working, so yeah.
Excellent. And we have an echo. Well, we've got 1 more minute, so let's see here. And for everybody tuning in, we're testing out a new live stream app called Restream. It's a Ukrainian startup, actually. And it's based upon an open source software project. So we're giving it a try instead of and giving them a chance to have us expand their business and get more users versus trying to use Zoom for now. So far it's working really well. If you have any feedback about the audio or the video, please let me or Adam know. And again, we'll start up in looks like about 30 seconds here. Adam, you see my screen okay?
I can see your screen. I can hear you perfectly. So yes.
Perfect. So it's just you and I in the front here. Let's do a little hold music while we're waiting 1 more minute. There we go. Now, my only question is, how do we see how many guests we have in the conference itself in the stream? Well, I'm going to stop the hold music, and I think we should probably get started. I think it's streaming live on LinkedIn, so I'm not sure if we can see the Q&A or questions here within Restream, but if anybody has a question, please feel free to ask. So welcome. Thank you for joining us. This is the Growth Hacking for Startups Going Through the Valley of Death workshop. It's a how to survive and thrive when you're going through the Valley of Death. And I'll explain that analogy a little bit later. It came from one of my mentors in Silicon Valley in Palo Alto. But this is brought to you by Media Magic and BHT and the Berlin Startup Hub and my friend Adam here. Good to see you, Adam. Hello.
Good to see you, Thomas. So I'm very happy to be here with you and have you actually as our expert today on board. To everyone who joins us online, this is the BHT Startup Hub, the startup incubator of Berliner Hochschule für Technik, and we organize on a regular basis expert sessions in webinars about different strategical purposes for early stage startups. Today with us, first Thomas Knapp, CEO and managing partner of Media Magic, who brings 28 years of successful experience in helping clients achieve results and grow their SaaS and high-tech businesses. His expertise includes strategic and performance marketing, digital transformation, software design and development, revenue and lead generation for B2B clients. And this is the reason why we're here today, because July and August can be a season which might seem to be dead for you, but actually use this time to repurpose your strategic sales processes and actually reshape them with experts like Thomas. So I'll be actually here just to read your questions. If you have any questions to us, reach us under the website of bht-startup-hub.de. And the stage is yours, Thomas. A very warm welcome.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you so much. Danke sehr. Hopefully everybody can hear me fine. I'm going to go ahead and start up. This is live streaming actually to the BHT LinkedIn company page, as well as the Media Magic company page, and then Facebook and YouTube as well. So we're streaming this out. Bear with us a little bit. We're, again, like I said earlier, we're trying a new tool. So I hope it goes well. I think it will. We've done a couple of dry runs and practice runs, and so far so good. So Adam, thank you for the warm welcome. Um, just by way of continuing the introduction, yes, I've been doing this for quite some time successfully, 28 plus years. I've got 3 M&As. Myself and my partners on the team at Media Magic have founded 12 companies. And it's this kind of experience. And I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to be pretty direct. Our clients appreciate this. Generally speaking, the relationships like to build in the industry appreciate this as well. And for all that it's worth, an MBA does not replace operational experience. Okay, that's what I'm leading up to. Education, university, MBAs, absolutely important, but operational experience and learning lessons are invaluable and priceless. That build knowledge and experience, and which becomes wisdom, so you can make better choices. So with that, having said that, as Adam said, this is the time to revisit your strategy. July and August may be kind of slow months in the summer, especially in Europe. And this is a good time to look at your strategy, to revise it, to pivot. Don't be afraid to pivot. And don't be afraid to try something a little bit different and do A/B split testing. So with that in mind, again, ask questions in the chat. We're going to pause twice during the workshop, and then Adam's going to help me field questions. We'll field them together as co-presenters. And thank you very much, Adam. And thank you for inviting us. Really, it's a pleasure to collaborate with you and the university and the Berlin Startup Incubator System. So we're going to talk about growth hacking. What is growth hacking? What does it mean? What's an MVP, and what's the growth hacking mean for your MVP? How everything starts with the market and your audience. What's your unique value proposition? What's the unique selling position and your core value statements? Learn how to sell, design, and build, and then iterate your product quickly to win customers and get priceless customer feedback through B2B marketing and hacking. We'll talk about charter customer programs, what that means, how to optimizely do B2B email and LinkedIn automation as well to get to the right ideal client profiles and buyer personas, and how to use social proof and KPIs. Then we'll stop for some Q&A. So apologies. There we go. Like I said, new platform. So I'm going to slide 4 now, which is a definition of growth hacking. So by way of introduction, again, Frank Robinson, he is the one of my colleagues and I call the father of the MVP, minimum viable product. Frank coined this term, and he's literally the father of this expression, or the term minimum viable product. It was popularized by Eric Reyes in his book, The Lean Startup, which many entrepreneurs have read worldwide, as well as the venture capital community. But Frank invented this term in 2001. And the page you see here in the workshop right now are some of the companies that Frank has helped, that he's worked with. Seven Rosen is a venture capital firm. Peaksy is the company where Frank was my mentor in 2014. He's helped LinkedIn, Cisco, and I mean, his list of accolades is 10 kilometers long. And I was very blessed to have Frank as my mentor in 2014, and he taught me how to sell, design, and build. And to do this for a 17 million Series A funded, venture funded data management platform as a service company. So it's PaaS software. And I managed to get us 7 of the greatest meetings with 7 of the biggest oil and gas companies in the Houston, Texas area, both Saudi Aramco, which is obviously from a different part of the world, but with huge operations in the United States, as well as a lot of other companies like Oceaneering, Landmark Graphics, GE, Deep deep sea as well, and others. So I'm going to talk about this more, okay? Um, and I keep wanting to hit the forward button. There we go. Bear with me. This is again a new tool, so I have to get accustomed to how it works. So let me talk about the audience for a moment. Um, it starts with your audience, with your ideal client profiles. It starts with the buyer personas. This is an example of what we do at Media Magic. So we are a tech and SaaS focused B2B growth engine for our clients and our venture capital clients who fund startups as well. So we know exactly where we're going to market, who we work with, who our ideal client profile is, what problems we solve for them because we've been there. So our founders have our partners have founded 12 companies. We have 3 exits. We have been through a lot of challenges and problems that you probably all have gone through or are going through or listening into this workshop and live stream. So, for example, in tech, we work with software engineering services companies, electronic and medical device companies, semiconductors. We work with infrastructure as a service and PaaS, CRM, CMS. We work with Andreessen Horowitz in the venture capital client audience in that community. We work with other venture capitalists who fund startups and need them to grow as well. So, what we don't do is we don't go into other industries that are not our subject matter expertise. We don't know the exact problems that they're trying to solve, in travel and transportation or in insurance companies or banking, unless it is a SaaS company who is focused on that vertical industry itself. So this is an example. So, and this is a didactic approach. So if you're sitting there and you're listening to me talk, and you're listening to us present this workshop, and you think, okay, so how do I haven't had success the last 6 months nailing a couple of clients, signing a couple of clients, or even getting proof of concept, getting a brand that I want, trying to use our SaaS platform, right, or your SaaS products. Well, think about this. Take this time and explore a pivot. Explore, are you talking to the right industry? Is the industry a good fit for your product and your MVP? Do you know who the buyer personas are in the ideal client profile? And having said that, what we do is we drill down even further. So it starts with a marketplace. Then it goes down to industries and then sub-industries. So don't fear niching down. Every entrepreneur, and I've done it myself, I have a tendency to try to please everybody, right? And as an entrepreneur, I want my solution to be attractive to everybody, right? Well, that doesn't work. It's called the shotgun approach. You need to be laser focused. Pretend you have a laser pointer or pinpoint sniper focus in your go to market. Nail the value proposition for that industry and those customers and those buyer personas and those ideal client profiles with really high degrees of relevance, personalization, and credibility. So this is, for example, Media Magic. We work with scale ups or earlier stage companies who have the funding from venture-backed funds. Okay, and this is $1 to $10 million. We help you go from 1 million to 10 million as a scale up, from 11 to 50 employees. We work with mid-market companies and enterprise companies as well, but only in high tech and SaaS, and in the industries that I described in our go-to-market and our ICP and in the slide before. So what we don't do is try to go into a completely different market, a completely different industry, and a completely different set of buyers. We don't do that. Our focus is laser-like. We focus also on the United Kingdom, on the European Union, and the top economies in the EU, the United States, of course, and then Canada. And these are our target markets where we have a predominant set of customers who have problems that we can solve. So make sure your product or your service for your MVP is able to address a problem that these customers have. And who are the personas? Make sure you know your buyer personas. Is it the chief marketing officer? Is it the VP of marketing? Is it a founder and CEO? Understand what the horizontal job roles are and those buyer personas. Understand who they are. Understand what their problems are, what their needs are, what their buying behaviors are, how old they are. Do they have children? Are they married? Where do they live? Make sure you understand the demographics behind your buyer personas. Don't randomly send, and Adam and I have both experienced this. We were just talking about it yesterday. Every day I receive every week, hundreds of messages on LinkedIn or emails that try to sell me something that we already provide to our own clients, or they try to sell something that I don't need and have nothing to do with me as a CEO in my business, in my industry, and Adam as well. And so don't make that mistake. Everybody in this workshop, please don't make that mistake. Make sure you understand the demographics of your buyers, okay? What their problems are, what keeps them up at night, why do they lose sleep? And then understand, the horizontal roles, functional roles, and then industry roles. So you may have an industry role that could be very different from industry to industry. So I'll give just two quick examples here. For our software companies, our SaaS clients, they all have a VP of engineering, director of SaaS product development, or chief product officer, right? Or CPO, chief product, VP of product itself. Whereas a medical device company, which is a tech company though, right, with IoT, embedded software, and Bluetooth connectivity, or LoRa, that talks to other devices, maybe wearables like an Apple Watch, they in a medical device company who is selling these kinds of products into the medical industry, they'll have a chief medical officer because they have to adhere to um, regulatory compliance and requirements for, like, the United States to sell a product, FCC requirements, FDA requirements, etc. So they have to know an industry. So you won't find a chief medical officer who works in a medical device tech company in a SaaS company. So again, that's an example of comparing and contrasting different buyer personas in a couple of different unique industries and sub-industries, okay? The next thing I want to talk about, is what's your core top level down value proposition? For Media Magic, we're a powerful global platform for tech and SaaS brands, SaaS and tech brands. We make life easier for clients, getting them real results, methodically scaling brands, sales funnels, revenues, and creating transformative digital assets. It sounds like kind of a mouthful, but I've gone through this myself, and I've seen entrepreneur after entrepreneur and VC and co-founder or founders go through this, where they change their value proposition too many times over the course of 6 months or 12 months, and it's very confusing. If you don't know what your raison d'être is, then maybe you should rethink the MVP. Maybe you should rethink the product market fit. Maybe you should rethink your go-to-market and take the time to reevaluate the strategy. The fact is, 92% of all startups with a Series A round of funding still fail. And the reasons they fail, I'm going to talk about this a little bit more. The reasons they fail is traction. It's lack of customers, it's lack of revenues, it's lack of user adoption, it's lack of a product market fit. And usually that's because this part, it may sound simple when you just read this on a slide like this, but let me tell you, everybody in this workshop, this is harder to do than what it looks like. It's harder than it looks, as we say. And getting something that's right, and it's a 30-second elevator pitch, and it's something somebody understands very quickly, whether it's a VC, a client, a partner, somebody you're the mixer with at a cocktail party, at a conference, right, Adam? What do we do? Okay, well, this is what I do. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Tell me more. Or, cool, great, let's stay in touch. I'll be rooting for you. But you have to be able to communicate your value proposition in that 30-second elevator pitch. Really, it's more like 12 seconds, maybe 15 seconds. So nail it. And then, for us, we have a little bit more to it there. And then once you've done this, and from a top level down strategic perspective, you understand what your startup represents. You understand what whether you're pre-seed or seed stage, or you're a Series A startup, or you're a venture capitalist who has funded a company and they can't figure out what their new purpose is, their purpose in the market, and their purpose in life to build a going concern, a profitable concern, and do some good in the world and solve some problems and create efficiencies. This is what we do as startups, right? We make things better in life, we make things better in the world. But usually it's for profit, not for profit. Once you do that strategic value proposition, then you need to understand, so what are the core value statements, and usually by industry as well. What do you do? Okay, so let's take, for example, I gave a keynote recently at the World Summit in Warsaw, and I talk a little bit about the Tinder. It's a Tinder example, but they try to figure when Tinder was first started, they tried to figure out, okay, what problem are they solving? Well, Max wants to go up and meet this girl, but he's too afraid and too shy. Okay, so they create a platform so Max can talk to this girl through the Tinder platform and make an introduction, and they can connect. And they went to market by doing this at different university college campuses and fraternities and sororities, so they could have a focus group of users validate the product itself, the MVP, and whether or not it was a good fit. Well, guess what? The rest is history. It was an excellent fit. People always seek love, right? And Tinder became a phenomenon, huge. And 50 other dating applications were born, right? And the market is big enough to support them all, by the way. But you have to figure out what's your niche, though. It's not what is your niche. So whether it's Salesforce or a PaaS company, you have to understand what industry do you serve, what are their problems, what do they want, and how can you address those problems. Okay, so a little bit more about that later. Why don't we stop there? Are there any questions, Adam?
Not that I can see. I'm not actually following here anybody posting questions at the moment. So if there is time for questions, write them in the chat so we can answer to them. Other than that, I agree 100% with Thomas about reshaping your strategy and getting to know demographics before actually stepping into the 5 steps, which we'll be doing in the next actually part of this workshop.
Thank you, Adam. So once you've defined your value proposition as a startup, and you validated it through some direct research or talking to clients, getting feedback, understanding if it resonates, getting the responses, documenting the voice of the customer. Then you need to understand, so how are you going to build funnels and pipelines? Well, I won't go through this entire 5 steps in great detail right now, but the point is that you need to define a business strategy. How are you going to transform your business? What are the goals of your clients? What's the audience? Again, who are the ICPs and the buyer personas? What's your go-to-market? You need to define the campaign, so it's their relevancy, personalized content, the demographics and the audiences match your message that you're sending to the audience, and whether it's an email campaign or Google Ads campaign or a LinkedIn automation campaign, whatever is used, make sure that the campaigns are clearly defined with the strategy being done and the campaign plan being done. And then you execute the campaigns. And this also includes SEO. You do retargeting, remarketing. Make sure you, again, understand the buyer personas and the audience first and foremost. Map them to your value proposition in your core 9 value statements. Build campaigns that use that everywhere, omni-channel. If you think you've nailed it, right? And this is a process, so it's not set and done, one and done. This evolves over time. So your core value proposition, it might pivot a little bit 12 months from now. It may be. The market changes, the market shifts. You may go after a new industry that makes sense for your SaaS product, right? And so you're going to have to know that new industry. So the messages may change a little bit, but this methodology will stay consistent. It'll remain consistent. So execute the campaigns, collect data, manage, analyze the performance, click-through rates. I want to talk about KPIs and using data to keep you honest a little bit later. measure using these KPIs, and then manage. And then if you need to optimize campaigns, shift to different areas, different buyer personas, make sure once the one thing I see a lot of, and we've made, we've learned a lot of lessons as well, many lessons in many years of experience. It's not as, again, it's not as easy as it looks to get the right buyer personas. Let me tell you a story. I had a client in the United Kingdom come to us and they wanted to use a list. They purchased some list from some vendor for $4,000, and it included 20,000 emails of where they thought they wanted to go. And that's all it included. There was nothing else. There was no other information. There was no definition of a buyer persona or an ICP. And I said, look, we probably don't want to use this. You're going to have your domain affected. It's going to be restricted. You're going to be flagged for sending out spam content. And with this warning in mind, they still wanted to move forward. And we set up the things that were required to move forward in the email automations. And their domain got flagged. Their domain reputation was damaged. So for us, it was a lesson learned that if a client does not want to listen to clear ICPs and go to market and understanding, the buyer personas and only targeting them with the right messages and simply wants to blast out emails, I'm talking about quality B2B funnels, quality B2B marketing, or B2B2C growth marketing for a SaaS platform that targets consumers as well. But do not buy generic lists from random suppliers online. Please don't. Everybody's listening to this workshop. Make sure your lists are carefully sourced of cold leads. And that's a good transition to the next slide. So here's a process and the way we do it in Media Magic and what I recommend to everybody in the workshop. And we get great results. We convert about 3 times higher conversion rates from a cold lead to an MQL. An MQL is a marketing qualified lead. And a marketing qualified lead then becomes active if somebody responds or opens or clicks on something inside of an email campaign. They click on a call to action, or they visited your website and you've got data there, or they filled out a form. Then they're active. And then from there, you want to get them to be an SQL, sales qualified lead, which then turns into a meeting where you can have a discussion with your customer prospect, okay, as a SaaS startup. So knowing each one of these and the status of each lead, of every stage or lead status in the process in an SOP, a standard operating procedures, is really important to instituting automation and scale. Whether you use HubSpot or Pipedrive or another CRM, this is what we do to help our clients as well. And so make sure you have this clearly defined. And this, by the way, builds upon everything I've been talking about in the workshop so far. So strategy, value proposition, core 9, methodology for growth hacking, making sure your sales CRM and your sales funnels are clearly defined. So there's an old expression, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. And if you put a bunch of garbage leads that don't have no chance of purchasing a subscription for your SaaS product, then you're going to be wasting time. And the last thing, the time is the most precious resource we all have. So these processes, this methodology for sales growth and marketing growth, its whole purpose is to streamline our resources, help you do things better, more effectively, more efficiently, and get to the real opportunities to grow your business as a SaaS startup, okay? And to get your MVP into the right buyer's hands, whether they're paying or not, but get those users, get them to do a proof of concept, get them to give you feedback, and then turn it into a sale after that, even if the sales cycle is 90 or 120 days. Okay, it's a process. And the more complex B2B SaaS product you have, the longer the sales cycles are, my friends. Okay, so that is life. So let me tell you a story. I don't want to read the slides, but let me tell you a story about Abla AI. Abla AI is a company I started in 2017. And we were a knowledge graphing platform and team collaboration. So we were competing directly with Slack. But we had this monolithic product. We built a lot, by the way. And one of my advisors said, "You really built a monolithic product." We connected Google Drive, we connected um, AWS, S3 content and storage. We connected Box, Dropbox, Salesforce, all these different connections for people that are collaborating B2B together inside of a company. And the first lesson I learned is prioritize product features for an MVP into P1, P2, P3. Okay. Don't try to build monolithic. And make sure those P1s meet customer needs, understand the customer's business. And so this leads me to talk about the signature selling method, SSM. This is steps 1 through 5. Understand your customer's business. Build those relationships. Most relationships are built upon trust and credibility. Do you have the skills to do what I need to have done and solve my problems? Do I trust you? These are the two basic things. And usually that decision is made pretty fast, by the way. But then you have to prove, that's just the beginning. Then you have to prove your SaaS product can do the job. Make sure you understand the needs, to make sure the solution matches the problems. Make sure you have a value proposition. We talked about that a couple of minutes ago. It matches the customer's needs. So I think I could talk about it openly now, but one of my clients, we developed a good relationship with, because I worked with he's now the CIO, E&J Gallo Wine in California. They are the biggest liquor and wine company in the world by market capitalization and revenues, I believe. When I worked with them, they were $7 billion plus. And so we had Abla AI in there with a proof of concept for potentially 7,000 users. 7,000 users, okay? That's a big deal for a startup. It's a huge deal. And we were competing with Slack. And the client told me some things that I needed to listen very carefully to. And let me share those with you now. So in order to win, we had to meet certain features the users were asking for, okay? They wanted to collaborate. They were using Office 365. They weren't going to use Google products, okay? And they weren't moving off of Microsoft. So we had to make sure these API connections worked really, really well. If you look at these concentric circles. We also said, the CIO said, "Hey, you got to match Slack's price or do better." Okay, but we offer more value. Well, it doesn't matter. You're an unknown startup. You're an unproven startup. I think those were his words exactly, Adam. You're an unproven startup, so you got to prove yourself. Okay, this is after trust and credibility. Like I said, that's trust and credibility are just the beginning in the B2B process. So we ended up winning this proof of concept. It's great. We did not get the entire 7,000 users as a whole, as an enterprise win, but it was a valuable lesson that I'm sharing with you here. And there's a lot more to that story I can share one-on-one or offline. But the point being is listen to your customers, listen to the executives who's in charge, listen to their users, okay? Because you may think you're selling only to the executive, but they're going to ask their users what they think, okay? So ensure that you have a top-down and bottoms-up approach. Slack did this really, really well, Stuart Butterfield. So the next part of the SSM process is presenting, okay, demonstrating your product. I just talked about this. Handle objections. Well, I just talked about a couple of objections I handled in the story I just shared. Closing the sale, and it may not look like what you have put in the CRM. It may look like something else, or maybe be prepared to be flexible. Listen to your clients. Maybe they want to do this part now. Prove your startup, and then they'll do something follow on that's bigger in 6 months. Okay. This is B2B sales. This is B2B growth hacking. So be prepared to be flexible. Ensure you have crisp answers to questions that come up, though. Don't stammer or stutter or hesitate on how you answer questions, and make sure the onboarding process. There's another one. So principle 9 and 10 here. So again, back to the E&J Gallo example, onboarding, onboarding, onboard. Was a big deal for them and for another client of ours, GR Simplot in Boise, Idaho, about a $5 billion company, enterprise brand. So they requested we have excellent onboarding of their users, that the product works. If there's an issue, we have a direct uh, link into product development and engineering so we can make product fixes or bug fixes right away. And I say this to, again, give you insights how it works really well in lessons learned to get anchor accounts that you want as a B2B or a B2C SaaS startup with a brand that you want, and how to do it really well. Onboarding is critical. Do onboarding well. Support your customer. Have an automation process in place. It doesn't, if it's Basecamp or Jira or Trello, make sure your customers can give you feedback right away and it gets directly piped into the engineering team. And you got somebody who owns it, and you have a service level agreement in place. Don't make it, quite frankly, don't make it vacuous. Don't make it ephemeral. Make sure it's very crisp and clear so your customer understands when you're going to get back to them. And make sure you have a project manager helping out. So let me let me pause for a moment there. Any questions?
Yeah, there is one question from Lara about which process or software do you recommend to help zero or low budget startups to identify their buyer personas?
Let me repeat the question to you. What software, from Laura, thank you, Laura, for what
Which,
low cost software to find out who the ICP or buyer personas are?
yeah.
Is that the question? Okay. That's an interesting question. And I say it's interesting because let me think about this for a moment. Let me ask a question. Is Laura available to have maybe an interactive dialogue or a question? I think it's on LinkedIn versus here on the live stream. But what's the business model of the SaaS startup?
I guess we have a small latency between what we say on LinkedIn live stream
Okay.
and between what actually arrives, because I can see it on the phone. So we're actually just having a little bit of a difference. So I guess maybe we can answer whatever comes to your mind now as a vague philosophy, and then maybe actually we can come back to the questions of Lara.
Let's come back to that question. And definitely, let's log that question, parking lot it for a moment, and we will answer it though. So let me ask for your patience since we have a slight delay between the live stream and LinkedIn. Let me answer briefly now, and we'll come back to it though. So if you're unsure, first it starts with, so what problem in the market are you trying to solve with your startup and your MVP? Is it a consumer product? Is it a business? Excuse me, is it a consumer problem? Is it a business problem? You know, free tool, Google is the number one free tool. I don't mean to be facetious, but it's true. Googling, you can find out many answers to many questions, of course. And then there are free tools like Crunchbase or CB Insights or other market-based tools where you can get some free research and understand like the market itself, and then who some of the buyers are and ICPs. So there's a good place to start. And we'll post this, actually, I'll post this on LinkedIn too, but we'll come back to the question. So there's a brief answer, I guess, for now, Adam. Thank you, Laura. So let me go to, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen in just a moment. And we're going to talk about what does it mean to build an MVP charter customer program. And then we're going to talk about what does it mean to run B2B growth marketing automations as well. So if everybody can see my screen, we're going to do this tab here. I assume you can see this. Just let me know if you can't see it, okay? So this is an example of how to build and run a charter customer program. You guys are you're welcome to clone this and try it yourselves. But again, it's not as easy as it looks. But we have shared this transparently for our startup ecosystem and for our venture capital community. And again, Frank Robinson taught me, who is the father of the MVP term. And what you need to do is set up a CRM, okay? Understand, again, who your ICP is, your ideal client profile. What is your go-to-market strategy? What does that go-to-market look like? And some people, this is like a business plan, and you can call it a business plan, but what is your go-to-market strategy? Are you going to sell direct? Are you going to sell through resellers? Do you have a direct sales force? Is it just you? Most startups, I've done it myself. I still do it. We work directly with clients. We all have a sales hat on, a business development hat on. And again, back to defining your ICP's go-to-market strategy and your core messages. I talked about this. What is your value proposition? What are your core 9 value statements? What is your strategy? What is your industry? And depending on what your product is solving, what your SaaS product is solving in the market, then you could find out more about your ICP. So the place to start, though, again, per that question, is understanding what problem you're solving. And are you a B2B company? Do you want to be a B2B startup? Or are you a B2C startup? These are very different industries, and there are different value propositions and different buyer personas. There's overlap, but you have to know the demographics, okay? So there's a lot of some other free resources we'll talk about a little bit later. You have to apply the scientific method to sales growth. Get the meetings on the calendar. Get these meetings. Don't be afraid to source cold leads. Make sure they meet your ICP. Make sure they're a match for your ideal client profile. So they're in the industry, they're in the sector, they're in the industry, they're in the sub-industry, if you're drilling down to a sub-industry, such as CMS, content management systems inside of platform as a service, inside of SaaS, right? That's an example of a hierarchy. And I give this as an example. Again, it's laser focused in personalization and relevance. Don't try to be as laser focused as possible. Like we talked about earlier, Adam and I have both received hundreds of messages every week of people trying to sell us things that we don't need and have nothing to do with what we do, okay? Or they're trying to sell us the same things that we actually do for our clients. So make sure you have complete relevancy. So sector, industry, sub-industry, who are the buyer personas? Is it somebody in marketing? Is it somebody in sales? Is it somebody in engineering? Or what depends on the problem you're solving. I mean, if you look at a company like Databricks has different buyer personas. For example, they have data that may be relevant and modules in their software product and platform that may be relevant for sales and marketing executives, but they have others that are really relevant for engineering teams and operations teams that are working with a lot of data from different products. So, of course, that's a big example, but they all want to start up as well. Run email campaigns to these guys. Don't be afraid to call out. Use tools like WhatsApp, Telegram. Use things like Google Voice. Use Skype. Don't be afraid to call out. And this is a very nerve-wracking thing for most entrepreneurs. Email, hit direct message on LinkedIn, and then call. Only after you have your value proposition in your 30-second pitch ready to go, okay? And ask for that meeting. Make sure you understand why it's relevant. Create a 30-minute pitch, okay? What's your 30-minute pitch? Please have an agenda. Have a really specific agenda for that pitch to respect the customer's time. If somebody's willing to spend 30 minutes with you and they're a cold lead, you've converted into an MQL active, to a sales qualified lead meeting. Make sure you have an agenda. What's the objective? If you want to have them be a proof of concept or get some users, great. Tell them why. look, we'll give you 30 days free trial. We'll give you a 45-day, whatever. Make sure you have a clear offer to provide to them as well. Okay. And make sure you're able to do a product demo, show case studies, have social proof. These are all the things that you need to take care of in a charter customer program to earn the trust and credibility of an anchor account that you want. Okay. So I think we're slide here. Did the question pop back up, by the way, Adam? No? Okay.
Really.
All right. Let's move to the next part of this. So let's go here. Thanks for holding. So again, don't be afraid, and this is directly related to an MVP charter customer program, but don't be afraid to use email. Email is a really effective means of getting the attention of prospective clients, prospective customers, okay? And so is LinkedIn, but you must use it very effectively. Again, personalization, copywriting that makes sense. Keep it short and sweet. Don't write too much copy. Maybe have a couple of images. Maybe there's an argument between text only emails versus having some imagery in them. I think personally, our experience is that having minimum amount of images and content in an email automation and campaign works well with minimal text as well and copywriting. Get straight to the point, respect your audience's time. Make sure your pre-header text and your subject lines match the needs and the problems of your audience. Okay, get leads that are in your ICP. Again, no, don't buy lists that you find from some random source online. Make sure you're sourcing leads. Snovio is a great tool, for example, and some other tools to get finding ICPs. Maybe this is what the question was more. Finding exact cold leads. Snovio is a great tool, by the way. Snovio. Snovio is a great tool. Grow Me Organic is another tool. We prefer Snovio because their verification process. And it's a good way to get B2B leads that are verified and then put into campaigns to get to the right buyer personas. But make sure you have a synchronization between this and your CRM. You can use there's so many different tools in the market to do email campaigns. The ones we prefer for business to business, by the way. And I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. I'm just gonna go back to this part. We prefer for best-in-class business-to-business sales funnels. We prefer ActiveCampaign. Bravo works well as well for building automations and campaigns for both SMS as well as email campaigns. You need to make sure you comply with regulatory compliance, so you're not spamming people, give an unsubscribe. I like ActiveCampaign because they automatically unlist anybody who's ever opted out. You can't spam them twice, which is great. They've worked on their platform. So ActiveCampaign is great for B2B. Expandy.io is great for B2B for LinkedIn automation. And then, and this is not a commercial, it's just what we found to work really, really well. We've used so many tools. I don't know how many tools by this point. And then I said Expandy and Snovio. I mentioned Snovio as well. And Snovio now has a LinkedIn automation module in their platform as well. But Snovio is a great way to start to get cold leads. I think they have a free tier, and I think ActiveCampaign might have one too. So those are some pro tips.
There's some questions, Thomas, if we want to answer them. One question is for an early stage startup, what should be the focus? Higher paying premium customers or a larger volume of low paying customers?
What's the startup again?
For an early stage startup, what should be the focus? Higher paying premium customers or larger volume of low paying customers?
Again, it depends on the type of the business model. Is it a B2B startup or B2C?
I don't know. We would
I'll
need
answer
some
I'll answer
more.
the question in both contexts, though. So hopefully I'll address it, and we can come back to it. And there's always follow up on LinkedIn. Anybody in the workshop audience, you can follow up with me or Adam on LinkedIn, please, or directly. So for a B2B early stage startup, and early stage is pre-seed, seed, Series A. Okay, Series B is considered a little bit later stage. Definitions vary a little bit, Adam, but this is how I'll define it for this context and answering the question. So an early stage startup that's B2B, who has a platform um, that solves a large business to business problem. Let me take one of our clients and their portfolio companies, for example. One of our venture capitalists that we work with, they have a company, okay, I'll keep this anonymous for now, okay, because I can't talk about it. But they have a early detection system for forest fires, and it's a combination of drones and other detection mechanisms, LiDAR and other systems, along with software as a platform as a service to then detect heat signatures for any forest fires which may start. It's a big problem in California, by the way, huge problem, and it's a huge problem in many parts of the world. I mean, there are forests that are burning, and it's a big problem. The Amazon, Brazil, Siberia. There's been problems around the world. So, but preventing them in the first place or having early detection so first responders can go and they can put out the fires quickly to prevent damage to civilian infrastructure, cities, electrical grids, power infrastructure is really important. That saves hundreds of millions of dollars and loss of lives and other things. So their customer is either a government entity, a business government entity, or it's a electrical power company like Pacific Gas and Electric, or SoCal Edison in California, in Southern California, and their average selling price is a few $100,000, right? So their sales cycle is going to be it could be quite lengthy, 6, 9 months, 12 months. It may be very lengthy. So if you're it's more of an extreme example, but it's an example to make my point. So if you're a business to business early stage SaaS startup or a solution, so SaaS and then hardware components and et cetera, like the one I just described, you want to have anchor accounts that are big customers, okay, and potential big revenue. But if you're, we'll go back to the Slack example, for example. Slack, they have an always free version, right? They had enough funding. They had enough funding to actually have a free version with storage and other requirements on AWS. But if you're a consumer startup, for example, one of my clients who's in Poland, and it's Nitro SEO. So they're actually on my LinkedIn profile, so I can talk a little bit about them publicly. So Nitro SEO has a free version for their SEO optimization platform. And it does up to, we've changed it a few times, but up to 10 or 30 pages, 20, 30 pages, free, do optimization, look at the meta tags and see if they match the business, make sense, see if it's indexed with Google Search Index and Bing Index. So they have a free version because they want people. We have a free version, my client and I, to get people to adopt it and use it. And so we've gone after recruiting companies, for example, who want to index higher in Google search engine ranking results in the SERPs. So that's another example. So it depends on, and the software doesn't cost a lot to run it on AWS. So look at your cost of running, the cost of services sold, the cost of goods sold, and if it's low on AWS, for example, or Google Cloud or another cloud provider, then you can offer free versions to consumers quickly. And you want to have a lot of user adoption. Absolutely. Look at Grammarly. Grammarly is another example. So they started with consumers, and now Grammarly's focus for the last 4+ years has been on business to business adopters, right, and buyers and enterprises. And I know that company intimately. Max is a friend of mine. He's one of the co-founders, but they started with a consumer version, and they got 100 million installs. Okay, and then upgraded and upsold people from there in a freemium model, so free to premium at $5 a month or so. So it depends on your business model. Those are the two answers, though. With two very different business models. So again, laser focus. I keep saying it, but I can't say it enough. Laser focus. Don't try to apply one business model or a solution or go to market to multiple types of business models because it's not going to fit. Any other questions, Adam, at the moment?
No, but actually, the answer of a LinkedIn user regarding his early stage startup was that the business model is B2C. So, regarding the higher paying premium customers or larger volume of low paying customers. But there's also an answer, thank you. So, I guess it answered a lot of questions, what you said.
Perfect. Yeah, it depends. In fact, let's go. So I think we're in the Q&A part of this. So I'm going to pull up this slide here, and we're pushing. We got 7 minutes left, so we'll just focus on Q&A and talk a little bit about wrap up and see if there's anybody else who wants to post some questions. Are they all showing up in LinkedIn, by the way? They're not in Restream here, are they? Questions.
I don't see them. They are in Restream in the chat. So you can see them on the right.
Oh, now I see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're testing new software, so guys, don't be surprised. It's the first time we're using it, so it's been,
Yeah.
yes.
Sorry. Yeah. Again, this is like I said. This is the first time we're using the streaming software.
No, you can see that. It's on the right hand side.
Can you? I don't know if people can see. Here we go. And I'm controlling this, and I'm not doing a very good job, Adam. I'm sorry.
It's okay. That's why we were supposed to do it together because it's a new tool for us as well. So
There we go. So now I can see it. There we go. So I think everybody can see it in the overlay, if that helps. But now I can't see the other questions. So I'm going to hide the chat overlay, but I'm going to put it up in my left-hand margin here for now. I can always put it back if people would like it. So I see Frank now. I see Alexander, Lara, Barbosa. Great, thank you. Sorry I missed these earlier. Again, we're learning. So what did I want to say? So we've got 5 minutes or so. The other bit of advice from my experience to all the entrepreneurs in the workshop is that I hate to use that. We used to say this at IBM. It depends. But what I mean by that is, and we've done this. I've done this with clients as well. And we have the same thing we've offered to clients and with our marketing campaigns, and they like it depending on the size of their company, the budget they have in their business, and where they want to go. We have different versions: a scale up, mid market, and an enterprise version of our growth marketing campaigns. So for a SaaS startup, for Abla, we had 3 tiers. So I recommend having your silver, gold, and platinum tier, or whatever you want to call it. Good, better, best. People come up with some innovative different tier names for their SaaS tiers. So for the person who asked the question earlier, you could have a tier that's geared towards small business and have quicker adoption because it's a lower price, or maybe 14-day free trial, and then it automatically converts after that. Make sure you don't have any credit card requirements because that's another obstacle that many small businesses don't like to overcome, just to try a software product. And then you can have another version for mid-market. Of course, you have to have enough features to have multiple versions like this. But maybe think about a free version. If your costs are low on your cloud provider, have a free version. Get adoption. Make it, I don't want to give you a number, but let's just, for example, limit it to 10 features. And then the paid silver tier, you've got 20 features, and users get more value, right? And they pay $5 a month or whatever. Grammarly's done the same thing. And then you go to a gold tier and they get more value, maybe for mid-market customers, users with more B2B requirements or other features that they need. So again, this is laser focus, laser focus. Don't try to have one huge product that fits everybody. I've made that mistake too. Don't make it monolithic. And if you can cut it out into tiers, wonderful. So let's see here, process other questions. Um,
I guess the question of Lara is about getting which process or software do you recommend to help zero low budget startups. So we talked about Snowview, we talked about the other softwares you recommended. Maybe your experience in the last 2 minutes about using different actually tools could be also very helpful.
yeah, that's a great question. And I'll try. Let me see if I can get the next question in this. Let me just ping Nick real quick because he has a easy question. He says he has unstable internet connection. Yes, there'll be a recording afterward, Nick. So we'll publish the recording. I think it's going to post on LinkedIn. Edits and errors and all with using a new live stream platform. So it's going to be raw. And then so we'll share the link to that as well in case you don't see it. So Laura's question, we have 2 minutes left. So it's a great question. Laura, feel free to ping me offline as well. I'd be happy to spend a little bit of time. I do like to give back to startups. That's why we're doing this workshop today as well. We're doing a number of other workshops, and as we perfect our new live stream software, hopefully it'll get more better and better and seamless. But did we get an answer from Laura on the type of B2B type of SaaS startup?
No, but I know what it's actually B2B startup for platform for marketing and branding services for early stage technological startups.
Oh, okay. So dear to my heart. So it's a marketing automation industry. So
in that direction, yeah.
Yeah. So just based upon Adam's description, Laura, I'll tell you this. This is what I hear, and we do this. So we look at the SaaS, then we have marketing automation as a sub industry, which is what Adam just said. Your startup is building, and there's a lot of startups in this area too, using AI, different AI tools to bring together different features and different things into one marketing automation platform to make business owners' jobs easier, and they can automate the marketing processes, right? And generate sales funnels and grow their business. So if that's what you're doing, choose a niche, choose an industry you want to go into, okay? And there is a lot of research online so you can find out. So what industry is not already saturated? So tech and SaaS industries have a ton of these products already. Maybe go after an industry for your startup that is more old school or doesn't have a ton of saturation for marketing automation tools. This would be my recommendation. And so once you do this, you can find there's a lot of research firms online. And again, you can look at CB Insights. There's, Zoom Info, Snowview I talked about. Dun and Bradstreet is another one for the US. It depends on which country you're going to.
What are the names again? So I can write it down for myself as well, because
Dun and Bradstreet for the US, if you're going to the US market. So they have a database of businesses in the US. There's a lot of different sources to find leads or ICPs, but I would start I'm talking to Laura specifically. I would choose a niche to go after, something you also maybe feel comfortable with, something you can, maybe, is it small business? So for Media Magic, we help startups, right? We help scale ups, but the local small business, mom and pop shops, those are not our clients. It's not our ICP.
it's too early yet. She's in our incubator and she's setting up a business. Yeah.
But if that's what she wants to do, she could go after local market businesses, for example, Adam, and build that marketing automation platform for them because they need a lot of help. They don't have marketing departments. They don't have marketing staff. Maybe they work with somebody who's a local marketeer who can help them, right? But to be able to automate that for small businesses is that's a good bet in today's market.
Any recommendations more for Lara?
Not at the moment, except please feel free to reach out one-on-one after shift.
Very
No
good.
problem.
And we're about to end. And it's good what she was saying that AI tools can actually like help automate a lot of processes and actually fulfill a lot of business purposes. We're having tomorrow a live session at our incubator with two experts. And everybody who's listening to us is in Berlin tomorrow can join us at the Lean Cafe, where we're going to meet a former executive assistant from a venture capital and a startup called Go9X, which is automating low code, no code, and actually with AI, a lot of processes which can actually speed up lead generation, which can speed up marketing processes. But of course, it's not going to replace excellent expertise like Thomas is presenting here today with you.
Thank you, Adam. Well, I guess I'll just close out with thank you, everybody. Sorry about the hiccups in the new live stream software, but overall, hopefully it went well. You got some value out of this and some good insights and experience and pearls of wisdom. So good luck to you all. God bless, and reach for the skies. Okay, you have to reach for the skies. So we have an offer. If you guys scan the QR code, if you're in the workshop still, you can scan that QR code you see on the screen. And if you would like us to help you, we're going to give a discount to BHT early stage startups and any participant who's joined this workshop. Okay.
And if you would like to get any questions, write to me, adam.formanek@bht-berlin.de, and hope to listen to you back from you, and hope to get in touch with Thomas in the next upcoming months. We had to postpone this workshop due to different reasons. I guess maybe in the autumn it will make also more sense when people are going to be generating more leads before closing the year than the commercial year, and just when they have to actually fulfill the sales plans. So maybe we're going to have another session about it.
I look forward to it. I'm sure it'll be even better. Thank you, Adam, so much. Thank you for everybody who's listening in, and have a wonderful day.